Most people say sick note, but it's actually not what your doctor gives you anymore. The official name for the document changed years ago, and the difference might matter more than you think. I'm Dr. Maria Knobel, GMC registered GP and medical director at Noble Medical. Today I'm going to explain what a fit note is and how it's different from what people still call a sick note. The difference might matter more than you think. I'll explain why the distinction matters more for your employer, your pay, and your rights. Most people still use the term sick note, but actually the document is now called a fit note, or more accurately, statement of fitness to work, since about 2010. And this document replaced the old Med 3 notes. The biggest differentiator is more philosophical. Instead of saying you're too sick to work, the new document says you might not be fit to work, but you may be fit to work with some adjustments. But in everyday, most people, including GPs, still refer to it as a sick note. Now, the new fit notes actually have two outcomes, which people don't realize. Outcome one is that you're not fit to work at all during a specified period. Outcome number two is that you may be fit for work with adjustments. And these adjustments could be, for instance, a phased return to work, such as adjusted hours or amended duties, perhaps a lighter workload, a less physical workload, or it could be amendments to your work environment. So this could be changes to equipment or an adjustment to working from home. The employers don't have to provide these adjustments because sometimes they simply can't due to the nature of the work or any other reason. In this case, the fit note then automatically becomes a not fit for work. And this is why the new name does matter, because it becomes a more nuanced conversation about less about what you can't do, but more about what you can do or might be able to do with a bit of help. So not only GPs can issue fit notes, but also hospital doctors, some nurses, some pharmacists, occupational therapists, and physiotherapists can issue fit notes. Now, here's the really important part. Private doctors can issue fit notes and they carry the same legal weight as if it were issued by your NHS GP. A fit note from a private GMC registered doctor carries the same weight and serves the same purpose for your employer, your statutory pay, and for every other reason you might need a sick note. So, when do you need a fit note? In the first 7 days of your sickness, you do not need to provide a sick note to your employer, but they might still ask you to fill out an SC2 form. Now, it's common for many employers to still request a fit note, despite you being able to self-certify in the first 7 days. After these first 7 days, now that includes bank holidays and weekends, you may be required to produce a valid fit note for your employer. Now, here's a common problem. Imagine day 8 falls on a weekend. You can't get an appointment with your GP, specifically not for something like a sick note, but you need to provide it to your employer by the Monday. What do you do? Well, that's where private GP services or private medical services such as MedicalCert UK come in. If you go the NHS route and seek an NHS fit note from your GP, you have to first make a request to book an appointment with your GP. Your GP will assess the situation, but there's often not appointments available immediately for something like a sick note because it's often a priority service. So who needs the appointment more, who needs the more urgent medical care will come first. So this can often mean that you're waiting days, sometimes even weeks, to see your GP about something like this. And once you've finally seen your GP, they can issue a fit note for you. However, the private route differs significantly. If you want a privately issued fit note, then you just complete an online assessment whenever you want. You don't need an appointment. You don't need to book in advance. Just complete the online assessment as and when you need it, whenever it's convenient for you. This goes to a GMC registered doctor who reviews the entire application or assessment for a fit note. And then a fit note is usually issued immediately, often same day or early next morning, so you have it in time by Monday morning for your employer. Now remember, both routes of obtaining a fit note are equally valid and carry the equal legal weight. There is no lesser version of a sick note if it's correctly issued by a GMC registered GP, whether private or NHS. As an example, if you would like to seek a private fit note from MedicalCert, you complete an online questionnaire which asks you about your illness and the nature of your work. Once submitted, a GMC-registered doctor reviews all of this information and, if clinically appropriate, immediately issues a sick note for you. And this is sent directly to your inbox, often within hours, most commonly in the same day, and definitely by early next morning if appropriate. At MedicalCert, we don't just rubber stamp every submission that comes through. Each case gets a proper, real clinical review by a GMC-registered clinician. There are no shortcuts. We don't use any allied health professionals, just registered doctors. So, if you need a fit note and you can't get a GP appointment for that, there's a link in the description for you. If you have any questions about fit notes, or if your employer has ever rejected one, tell me about it in the comments. I read all of them. I'm Dr. Maria Knobel, and subscribe to the channel for more plain English guides on UK medical certificates.